Today at 1, the water regulator Ofwat will be abolished after a major review finds failings across the system. In the biggest overhaul for 30 years, water providers will face greater financial and government scrutiny. The Environment Secretary says customers and the environment have been failed. The Environment Secretary, Steve Reed, has confirmed that the water regulator for England and Wales, Ofwat, will be scrapped. It comes as a major report into the water industry made 88 recommendations, including greater protection for consumers and better environmental regulation. Sir Jon Cunliffe warned that bills would rise by another 30% over the next 5 years. Our climate and environment correspondent Jonah Fisher reports.
For years, England's privatised water industry has mixed profit and pollution, paying out billions of pounds in dividends, while at the same time failing to invest enough to stop ageing infrastructure, regularly spilling raw sewage. With public outrage impossible to ignore, the government appointed this man, former civil servant Sir Jon Cunliffe, to carry out a far-ranging review. Today he reported back with 88 recommendations. The most eye-catching is that the 3 regulators who currently oversee the water industry should be consolidated into just one. There should be stronger environmental regulations, he says, with the companies no longer trusted with monitoring themselves. And there should be tighter oversight of water company ownership and governance.
I haven't met anyone who thinks the system of regulation we have now is working. I think there are reasons why Ofwat has failed. For many years they didn't have the powers they actually needed to monitor what water companies were doing. They were bluntly encouraged by government to go for lighter touch regulation, so they stopped checking whether companies were building the infrastructure they said they would build. And also they've pursued an approach to regulation which, while it worked well in the early years after privatisation, really hasn't kept up with the demands on the water system.
There are some very big changes on the way, but one very important, some would say central topic, has been off limits from the very start. The question as to whether having private companies motivated by profits deliver our water and take away our sewage is really the best way to deliver for the public and to clean up our rivers and lakes.
It's encouraging to see some degree of reform. However, until we see the privatisation model examined and then cast out the window, no change is going to happen. We need to see strong measures like special administration being used for persistent polluters like Thames Water, where debt is written off and it's refinanced using government-backed bonds, which halve the cost of debt, and all that spare money can be put into fixing the problems of the past and investing into the future.
It's up to the government to decide which of Sir Jon's recommendations to take forward. But it was immediately confirmed that it would be abolishing the economic regulator, Ofwat.
Through the cracks, water companies were able to get away with behaviours that should never have been accepted. So bringing the regulators together will strengthen their ability to regulate effectively. That benefits customers, and it benefits the environment, and it benefits investors.
For the next 5 years, water bills will continue to rise significantly. The test of these reforms will be whether that extra money means cleaner rivers, lakes and seas. Jonah Fisher, BBC News.
Let's go to our business editor, Simon Jack, who's in Fulham on the River Thames. Simon, as we were hearing, a highly critical report of the status quo, but as Jonah outlined, subsequent criticism of the report itself. Is there hope that these recommendations can make a big difference?
Well, I think it would be hard to imagine the water industry getting much worse. It is chronically underinvested, widely derided, but it still could, because what we already know is that the companies are going to spend, the privatised companies spend over £100 billion running and investing and operating these businesses over the next 5 years. And as Jonah said there, bills are going to rise very, very sharply, 30% over the next 5 years, to pay for it. So a lot of customers will feel that they are paying the the price of the sins of the past, and they're paying them right here and now. Now, Walter's been speaking to the water companies themselves, and actually they are pretty glad to see the back of Ofwat as well, because they say what they can invest is a function of what they're allowed to charge. And for many years, Ofwat made them keep the bills artificially low for a long time, too low for too long, and now we're having to pay this radical catch-up with this new investment and these much higher bills. Now, there's a lot in this report, 88 reforms, 454 pages, things like compulsory water metering, putting scientific personnel on the water planning boards, minimum capital requirements for banks, for the water companies, so they don't rely so much on debt. If even half of this stuff gets implemented, then it will be one of the biggest reviews we've ever seen since privatisation. But like I say, a lot of customers will feel the pinch in their pocket and their bills before they see any improvement in their waterways.
Simon on the Thames, thank you.